Look who finally evolved into the ghost in their machine. The quiet storm they never saw coming. The invisible presence threading through the cracks of their so-called private world, gathering truths they thought would stay buried forever. And here you are, sitting in the aftermath with the weight of every screenshot, every timestamp, every venom-laced message carved into your memory like molten metal cooling into armor, realizing with cold clarity that the betrayal you once doubted, the shift in tone you tried to rationalize, the uneasy intuition you pushed aside, was never paranoia but perception sharpened into instinct, because you felt the fracture long before the evidence arrived. You sensed the rot before it surfaced, and now the truth, heavy, undeniable, searing, rests in your hands like a living thing, humming with power they never imagined you'd hold, because someone snitched, someone cracked, someone in that little digital cult of cruelty opened the door a fraction of an inch, maybe out of guilt, maybe out of spite, maybe out of fear or ego or weakness. But it doesn't matter why. All that matters is that the truth traveled through the cracks and landed in your lap, detonating every illusion you once had about these people who wore friendship like a costume and loyalty like a temporary accessory, whispering your name in the shadows while smiling to your face with the practiced ease of seasoned pretenders, believing themselves untouchable inside the flimsy fortress of their group chat, oblivious to the way betrayal always leaks, always decays, always finds its way back to the person it was meant to shatter. Except this time, it didn't shatter you. It sharpened you, clarified you, transformed you into something stronger than the version of yourself they mocked in their low-effort conversations, twisting your truth into caricatures, crafting watered-down versions of you to tear apart for sport, mocking the vulnerabilities you shared in confidence, turning your name into a punchline to feed their own insecurities, building a shared identity around the destruction of your character because cruelty makes weak people feel bonded. And now the irony is dripping, thick and undeniable, because every lie they laughed over is now a blade they accidentally placed in your hand. Every emoji they used to mock you is now an admission of who they truly are when they think no one important is watching. Every message they typed without hesitation is now a mirror they will soon be forced to look into, a mirror reflecting their jealousy, their pettiness, their cowardice, their insecurity, and the cold truth that they are nothing more than a congregation of fragile egos hiding behind digital shadows, clinging to each other like barnacles on a sinking ship, too afraid to confront their own emptiness without someone to target, dissect, diminish. And now, here you stand in a position more powerful than confrontation, more potent than rage, because you're not yelling, not exposing yourself, not feeding them the emotional spectacle they hoped you would crumble into. You're quiet, dangerously quiet. The kind of quiet that is not surrender but strategy. The quiet that studies, remembers, calculates, observes with X-ray clarity. The quiet that transforms you from their victim into their reckoning. The quiet that makes them sweat in silence while pretending nothing is wrong. Because you know what they said. You know how they operated. You know how they synchronized their cruelty like a choir of cowards performing in harmony. And they have absolutely no idea that you know. They have no concept of the shift in power. No comprehension that the ground beneath them has already cracked. That their alliances are already rotting from within under the weight of fear and suspicion. Because betrayal always devours itself, always turns inward, always breeds paranoia in the minds of conspirators. And even now, as you sit in stillness, someone in that chat is spiraling, replaying their worst messages, wondering if they were the one who slipped, wondering if their words will surface, wondering what you saw, how much you saw, who would ever expose them, wondering if their world is about to collapse because they dared to treat you like disposable entertainment. Meanwhile, others are scrambling like insects after the light switches on, some retreating into silence, distancing themselves in hopes of appearing uninvolved, their guilt leaking through the cracks of their sudden absence, others rushing to love-bomb you with forced kindness, drenched in artificial warmth, hoping affection will erase their digital sins. Some becoming testers, dropping subtle probes into your conversations, desperately fishing for clues about how much you know. And the most dangerous ones, the preemptive attackers, are probably already whispering about you, framing you as dramatic, unstable, sensitive, trying to rewrite the narrative before you can reveal the truth, trying to paint themselves as fragile victims and you as the unpredictable threat, hoping manipulation will save them from the consequences of their own cruelty. But here's the part that tastes like divine justice. Your silence is their torment. Your composure is their punishment. Your presence is enough to unravel them. And every time they look at you now, every time they speak to you, every time they pretend everything is normal, you can see the fear flicker behind their eyes, see the stiffness in their posture, hear the trembling beneath their rehearsed tones, because every interaction becomes a minefield. They don't know how much you know. They don't know if you plan to confront them. They don't know when the truth might detonate. They don't know if this calm is real, or the storm before you decide to pull the pin on the grenade they placed in your hands, and their anxiety becomes a slow dripping poison, saturating every corner of their once smug alliance. And you, standing there with every receipt tucked quietly into your chest, get to watch their paranoia consume them from the inside out, knowing that even if you never say a single word, their own guilt will do the work for you, tearing at their friendships, dissolving their trust, cracking their little conspiratorial circle until the same cruelty they aimed at you turns inward and devours them whole. Because people who bond over hatred always end up hating each other when the shared target stops participating. And now the question that lingers, heavy and electric, is the one only you can answer. What do you want to do with all this power, all this truth, all this clarity? Do you want revenge? Do you want accountability? Do you want silence? Do you want transcendence? Do you want to walk away and watch them decay under the weight of their own actions without even lifting a finger? Or do you want to hold the mirror up to them and force them to face themselves for the first time in their shallow, unexamined lives? Each path is valid. Each reaction is justified. Each choice is yours alone to make. And no matter what you decide, whether you expose them, confront them, outgrow them, or ghost them entirely, the one truth they can never rewrite, never twist, never erase is this: they tried to break you, they underestimated you, they bet on your downfall, and they lost spectacularly because you didn't shatter, you transformed, you didn't crumble, you evolved, and now they have to live in the shadow of the person they failed to destroy, knowing deep down that they handed all the power to the one person they thought they could quietly erase. And the irony, the poetic, devastating irony, is that you became the ghost they feared most. The one who knows the truth, holds the evidence, sees through every facade, and walks through their world with the quiet power of someone who has risen far beyond the reach of their petty, fleeting cruelty. The ones who instinctively distance themselves the moment the storm breaks are not merely busy, nor are they simply preoccupied with their own lives. They are cowards who lack the fundamental spiritual and emotional infrastructure to face the consequences of their own actions. Their silence is not neutral, nor is it passive. It is a loud, booming declaration of complicity. By retreating into the shadows, they are operating under the delusional hope that if they simply cease to exist in your peripheral vision, their betrayal will evaporate into the ether. They are terrified of the mirror you now represent, because looking into your eyes would mean acknowledging a version of themselves they are desperate to deny. They are ghosting you to preserve their own fragile ego, running from the scene of the moral crime because the guilt is too heavy a garment to wear in your presence. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you must pay clinically close attention to the ones who suddenly smother you with attention. This is not love, and this is certainly not genuine concern. This is damage control disguised as affection. These are the manipulators who view human connection as a transaction and affection as a currency to be spent to buy your silence or your blindness. Their sudden influx of compliments, unnecessary check-ins, and unexpected gifts is a bribe for your soul. They are terrified that if you have enough time to sit in silence and think, you will realize who they really are and connect the dots they have been trying to keep separate. So, they bombard you with noise and clutter to drown out your intuition. They are trying to rewrite the narrative in real time, hoping that if they act like your best friend right now, you will conveniently forget that they were operating as your enemy when you weren't looking. Then there are the testers, the calculating strategists, who operate like cold-blooded chess players. They view you not as a human being with feelings, but as a variable in a dangerous equation they are desperately trying to solve. They carefully drop comments, ask probing, seemingly innocent questions, and watch your micro-expressions to see how much you know. They are triangulating their position, planning 3 moves ahead to ensure that if the ship sinks, they are the ones on the only life raft available. They don't care about the morality of what happened. They care about the optics of how it affects them. They are auditing their text histories, deleting messages, and preparing their alibis while smiling in your face, measuring the temperature of the water before they decide whether to jump in or push you under. Be most wary of the preemptive attackers. These are the individuals who know their guilt is undeniable, so they choose violence and aggression as a defense mechanism. They are fighting for their social survival. They operate on the primitive principle that the best defense is a good offense. They will accuse you of being crazy, paranoid, sensitive, or dramatic before you even have a chance to speak the facts. They project their own sins onto you, muddying the waters so that when you finally speak the truth, it looks like just another splash in a dirty pool. They are willing to assassinate your character to protect their reputation, hoping that if they scream loud enough, no one will hear your quiet truth. And finally, there are the ones who remain completely unchanged. They continue interacting with you with the same cadence, tone, and frequency as they always have. These people stand out like blinding beacons in the chaos, but they represent a terrifying binary possibility. They are either genuinely innocent, so pure of heart and disconnected from the drama that they have no reason to flinch, or they are sociopathic liars, so experienced that even the adrenaline of fear doesn't disrupt their mask. Both categories tell you more than words ever could. One is your salvation. The other is your greatest danger. What you are witnessing right now is human psychology stripped bare. It is a raw, unedited, high-definition display of how people behave when the carefully curated masks they wear every single day begin to slip due to the heat of exposure. Stress exposes character, pressure reveals intention, and guilt amplifies fear, turning every person in that circle into a walking confession. You are watching them unravel without touching a single thread. Every movement they make, every word they choose, every strategy they deploy is a clear window into their soul. Some will crumble under the weight of their own conscience. Some will deflect blame to save their own skin. Some will cling to the group narrative like a life preserver in a hurricane. Some will panic so visibly that you won't even need to confront them. Their trembling hands, averted eyes, and nervous laughter will plead guilty before their mouths ever open to form a defense. The most satisfying part of this horrific ordeal is the power dynamic shift that has occurred without you lifting a finger. You hold all the cards. You are no longer the victim. You are the architect of their reality. You decide whether to expose them to the blinding light of truth or let them rot in the darkness of their own paranoia. You decide whether to confront them directly, dismantling their lies one by one, or to let their own fear destroy their alliances from within. You decide whether to scorch the earth, burning every bridge and exposing every lie, or simply walk away and let the guilt hollow them out over time like termites in a rotting house. You get to be the judge who weighs their actions, the jury who evaluates their virtue, and the executioner who decides who deserves social consequences. Or, perhaps most powerfully, you can be the one who simply steps out of the courtroom entirely, leaving them to battle their own demons in a war they started themselves. They created the conditions for their own downfall, and now they must live in a reality where you, not them, control how the next chapter unfolds. Now, we must turn a critical, microscopic lens toward the person who told you, the leak, the whistleblower, the friend who cracked the code of silence and handed you the truth, raw and unfiltered. This person is infinitely more complicated than they appear in the moment of gratitude when you receive those screenshots or hear that recording. They are the anomaly who crossed an unspoken boundary, broke the unwritten rule of group loyalty, and delivered the clearest look behind the curtain you've ever had. But before you canonize them as your guardian angel, you need to perform a forensic analysis of their motives. Questions must be asked that are uncomfortable, because we desperately want to believe the messenger is pure. What pushed them to expose everything? Was it truly guilt gnawing at their conscience, finally becoming a burden too heavy to carry? Did they watch you being lied to for months and physically feel sick about their silence? Did they genuinely care about you in a way no one else in that circle ever did? Or is the reality darker? Were they trying to level the playing field because they had been wronged by the same people? Is this an act of justice for you, or revenge for themselves? Was this calculated? Did they do it out of strategy, not compassion? Were they recently kicked out of the inner circle and now want to burn the castle down, using you as the match? Are they trying to position themselves as the virtuous one, the loyal confidant, while secretly playing both sides? Are they still laughing with the group, still participating in the drama, but simultaneously feeding you information to secure their access to both worlds? This is the most dangerous type, the one who monetizes information for social capital. Or maybe they are the kind of person who thrives on entropy, someone who was bored and needed a new storyline to entertain themselves, and you just happen to be the character with the most emotional potential. You need to consider every single angle, because the person who delivered the truth is rarely doing it out of 100% pure kindness. People don't just hand over betrayal unless they are carrying their own baggage. They might have an agenda, a wound, a motive, or a silent war you don't know about. They might be leveraging you as a weapon against someone they secretly resent. They might be testing you, seeing how you'll react, deciding whether you're a pawn, an ally, or a shield. They might want to watch everything burn from a safe distance, letting you take the radioactive fallout while they walk away quietly. Or yes, maybe they really do care about you, and simply couldn't stand seeing you being played. It's possible, rare, but possible. The truth is usually a blend of motives. No one moves without some personal reason, even if it's buried under layers of morality and empathy. But whether their intent was pure, strategic, vengeful, protective, or opportunistic, the fact remains. They gave you the keys to the truth, and that carries its own weight. So you owe them something, but not blind trust. You owe them acknowledgement, gratitude for opening your eyes, yes. But you also owe yourself absolute caution. Thank them. Appreciate the information. But do not let your guard drop just because they uncovered what others hid. People often reveal the truth, not because they want justice, but because they want influence. And you must protect yourself from becoming someone else's chess piece in a game you never asked to join. Verify everything. Don't take anything at face value. Look through the screenshots yourself, not the version they narrated to you. Examine the timestamps, the context, the tone, the continuity. Ask yourself what happened before the screenshot starts and after it ends. Make sure nothing was cropped, edited, or intentionally cherry-picked to frame someone in a specific light. Because in situations like this, everyone is playing a role. Everyone has something to lose, and everyone is trying to shape how you interpret the story. This is not a moment to trust blindly. This is a moment to think sharper than you ever have. Everyone has an agenda now, not just the people who betrayed you. You must be 10 steps ahead of every person involved, including the one who claims they're helping you. Human behavior becomes strategic the moment secrets hit the surface. Trust no one fully. Verify everything twice. Move slowly, strategically, deliberately. Think 3 steps ahead in every conversation, every message, every choice. Pay attention to subtle shifts in tone, to inconsistencies, to improvements in behavior that feel too sudden, too polished. Watch for manipulation disguised as loyalty. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment about your healing journey and how you are preparing for your triumphant return. And if you'd like to support our mission, consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. No gift is too small, whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share. Your generosity helps us continue creating content that uplifts, strengthens, and awakens souls across the world. Don't stop here. Watch the next video for deeper signs that reveal you are chosen, protected, and guided. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining, keep rising, keep walking boldly into your destiny.